Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining the award-winning To Hull and Back podcast, proudly sponsored by Old Zoological Bar and Kingfisher Quality Fish and Chips in Hull. I'm your host, Nathaniel, and tonight I'm joined by Joe, although we might have a few stragglers joining on pretty soon. And it's been a pretty eventful week. We've had 2 games, 3 signings. So, Joe, how are you feeling as we just enter? Are we entering the 3rd week of the season or just finishing the 2nd, however you want to see it?
Yeah, it's well, thank you for joining us, everybody. First of all, whether you're live or watching / listening to this back. It's been, like you're saying, Nathaniel, a very, very eventful week because I'm pleased to say I was the one who broke the Bairstow story. I spotted him up in that director's box, and I didn't notice Charlie Hughes in the background of the picture. I just saw Bairstow and Zambrano sat next to each other when I was taking it. So that was obviously met with, I think this is a good place to start, actually, the signings. Like, we knew about Hughes and Zambrano for a while. We've known about them. We know what they are. Everyone's sort of unanimously said, right, that it's good they're coming in. But with Bairstow, everyone met it differently, it seemed. There was a group of people who were undecided. There were a group of people who which I fell into, which like, okay, Sunderland fans haven't raved about him, but Preston and Stoke fans said the lap was dreadful, and look how good he turned out to be. And then
Sunderland fans have said various players that we've signed have been dreadful.
Honeyman, El Mohammadi, Myler. I'm sure the list goes on. They're just the 3 that I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, we can unanimously agree Josie Altidore was appalling. Let's just put that out
That's
there.
True.
But no, and yeah, then there were the people just automatically writing Bairstow off, and I think this is the young striker Adjan was talking about at the Q&A when he said, where he talks with the young striker, he's the next Liam Delap. And like I say, Delap wasn't, well, he didn't come in with big reviews from the clubs he's been at on loan before. But Bairstow came on, and it was a difficult game to come into. But all you can really ask of a striker in that situation is to put the work in, put himself about, and if it falls to him, have a go. And it didn't fall to him, but he certainly gave it a go, and he certainly put his body about. So once he's settled, he's signed a long contract. I'm excited to see where this one goes.
Yeah, it's a good place to start because we basically knew, especially Hughes and Zambrano, those have been talked about for a long time. I think Zambrano slightly less, but Hughes we've been trying to sign all summer. I'm glad that finally is over the line. I mean, I'll probably debate it now about how much we've actually spent on him. But the Bairstow one, I have seen a lot of people be critical of that signing, saying, oh, we're signing a striker on the cheap and that he's not good enough. But I think the whole perspective on it would be completely different if we already signed another striker, because I don't think the club have gone from signing or agreeing a deal for Kiefer Moore, who's been promoted out to the Premier League twice and has been a Championship one of the top scorers in the last few years. Scored 20 goals for Cardiff one season in the Championship, and then to Thomas Asante, who's from a direct rival, agree a multi-million-pound deal for him, and then think, oh, well, we haven't got those 2. We'll just have to sign this player from Chelsea's academy who scored 1 goal last season as a replacement. We've just thought, oh, well, we'll get this deal done, and we're still looking for a striker that either is going to complement Oscar or replace Oscar and be of better quality. He's probably second choice at the moment because we've got 2 strikers, but if we sign another striker, he'll be third choice immediately, I'm sure. So there's no concern there.
There's a reason we've left that number 9 shirt vacant, isn't there?
Yes. Oh, well, precisely. That's all the proof you need. You're not going into a season without a number 9, as in a player who has the number 9 shirt, because it's the most iconic one, really. other than maybe number one as a goalkeeper, you're always going to have a number one. So yeah, you're quite right. There's nothing to really be concerned about, and we have had a lot of players. Delap, most in particular, we didn't think he was any good. Came in and he was really good. Every single signing has potential to be, to fit the system, and I think as it's a permanent deal, it's always very difficult. And plus, Sunderland had quite a few strikers last season. I think they've always had quite a few. Probably quite difficult to get into.
They haven't had a proper goal scorer since Ross Stewart got injured.
Yeah, in the Championship they've struggled, haven't they?
They have really struggled. And in Sunderland fans I've spoken to, there was an admittance, look, he probably didn't fit our system too well. And this, despite all the sort of negative reviews they gave of him, there was an acceptance that he probably didn't fit the way that, well, Michael Beale wanted to play, which when he's your manager for a large portion of the season, there's already trouble there. And then there was all sorts of uncertainty last season surrounding Sunderland, whether they'd get a manager, then they went for an interim, and their season just sort of fizzled out. So I'm happy to give Bairstow time in the same way that, we've given different signings times in the past. You've got to remember George Honeyman in that first half season when he was settling in with us, to use him as an example again. He wasn't particularly standout. He just sort of ran around like a headless chicken. But then after lockdown, he was a different player. And that came to a head in the League One season. And then when we went back to the Championship, where he was phenomenal. So different environments, different patches of form happen for every player. It's just about where they find their best environment, and hopefully this environment allows Bairstow to get into a good patch of form.
Yeah, I think especially considering what happened with Ohio, Sharp and Delap, none of the strikers we had last season, Connolly as well, they've all gone. I think to get a player on a permanent deal, young player for 4 years, that's pretty good, because hopefully maybe he's not going to play that well or score many goals or play that many games this season, but that's a player that we've probably got for the next 2 or 3 years at least, as he's young and he's come from Chelsea's academy.
Contract.
Can't really do worse than that. So yeah, and I think probably an option of a fifth. Yeah. So that's a striker that we've got, that when we're going into pre-season games next season, we actually have a striker. We don't have to recall anyone.
Contrary to Oscar, who's out of contract at the end of this season and hasn't got an option of an extra year. Him and Seri, I think, are the two that don't have options that are in the first team. So I don't think we activated any first team options last year.
With the way Oscar's played throughout his entire City career, and especially last 2 games, and I think compared to sort of seeing what Delap had, where off the ball he was incredible, maybe not prolific in front of it, but still pretty decent. Oscar really doesn't offer as much. I saw a lot of criticism after the game against Plymouth. I think him and Seri, they could well leave if we get replacements in before the end of the summer. And Seri, he played so well in the second half when he came on against Sheffield Wednesday, which we haven't mentioned, but another disappointing Carabao Cup defeat. We controlled the game. And yeah, but I think the main thing was considering we played a stronger team, and I think it's good to get that team cohesion together. We controlled the game a little bit more. It's the best we've played in the 3 games, I think. The reason we lost that game was because Ruchopi gave the ball away on his own in his own box, and then we conceded. It wasn't really anything that you can blame the team on. We would have drawn that game otherwise. And we had 2 goals, at least 1 goal incorrectly chalked off, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely.
Burns did not foul the keeper, and Sellers-Fleming was, if that's given as onside, one's really.
I was sat level with Sellers-Fleming at that point, and to me, he looked offside there, but that's my eyes, and I've not seen the replay back from the angles where you can tell whether he's offside or not. It's tight. But, I mean, the whole don't put your flag up immediately rule should be scrapped. We've seen the pitfalls of it this weekend. Danilo for Nottingham Forest doesn't have that injury if the flag goes up straight away.
Like
And
30 seconds to a minute in the Chelsea-Man City game today. I think Jackson was clearly offside and he didn't even have a shot initially, and they played on for so long. Anything could happen.
but it's like in the Premier
ridiculous.
League now, they've got semi-automated offsides. They're bringing that technology in, but they've decided not to activate it until after the international break.
Ridiculous.
Which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. When you can have a decision like that, why?
If it's in place, then put it in place. It's actually less fair to do it after a certain amount of time when you've already got VAR decisions that might be wrong or slow in the first month of the season, first 3 games or so.
Anyway, to bring it back round, I have just looked. So everyone has an option to extend their deal at the end of this season, apart from Burns, obviously, because he's on loan. Zambrano's got a buy option, so we'll count that.
Yeah.
Apart from Mika Seri, Oscar Estupinian, and we're going to mention him again, Uriel Feli.
Yeah, I mean, really, who cares? He's less relevant than Cynic somehow, and that's really saying something.
That is really saying something.
The forgotten player. I mean, we could have if we do sign one of the players we've been linked to, which we'll get onto slightly later, we could have an entire South American midfield, but we'll mention that after the Wednesday and the Plymouth game. So Malem got his first goal. I think that's pretty much the only thing he's done in the first 3 games. I mean, he had one match in pre-season.
He's looked lively, hasn't he? But there's been he won the penalty first of all.
That's true.
He's looked lively, but the goal was really well taken, and I quite like the look of him. But you do just wonder when Zambrano's playing, and if we're bringing in these other midfielders and what have you. Abdush is like the standout in midfield, right?
Yes.
His end product needs work, but in terms of on the ball ability, there's no one better in that midfield going forward wise anyway.
He probably wants to be in the middle as well. So where does Malem go if Irma's in the middle? Because you're not putting Malem on the wing.
But then we're going to sign another couple of wingers. So like the live deals at the minute look to be the striker, the mystery striker, a winger, and then the Mefer from Hamburg, and Puerta from
Bayer Leverkusen. Yeah, that was mentioned. He's from Colombia. So it'll be very interesting to see how the midfield goes. I mean, I've really liked the way Miller started. He looks like he's used to the Championship because, of course, he is. But he's also got that sort of flair from playing in, for Basel and for the Canadian national team as well. Playing over in Canada, I'm sure he did early on in his career. I saw lots of people mention that Richopi should play. And I'm really split about this because, I mean, the grass isn't always greener. We've thought that with Allsop, Pander's come in, he's had a shocking pre-season. Now we thought, we've signed Richopi. We've got to play Richopi in the League Cup game and he'll play well and then we'll start him against Plymouth. But I think considering that even though Pander's distribution has been really poor and it continued to be in the Plymouth game, none of the mistakes he's made have led to a goal yet, whereas Richopi has. So to put Richopi in after what happened, I think would be absurd, right?
Well, people point to Pander and the saves he's made and what have you, but he's made the saves because he's given the ball away, and I'd still keep him in because he's not done really anything massively wrong leading to a goal yet. But you've got to think he gives the ball away. There was one in I can't remember whether it was the first or second half where he just tries to pass it out. It's a bit away from Alfie Jones, and Joe Edwards comes
both halves.
Well, yeah, there were a couple of clangers near clangers in both, but you've got to think against like a Leeds or a Burnley, they'll get put away, and Panda will get punished for those mistakes. So Rachopi made a good save against Sheffield Wednesday. Pretty much, well, point blank range. He got down low to his left-hand side well to make the save, and then we cleared it. But I just think, and this might bring us on to talk about the players we've been linked with since the game yesterday. The defence, in terms of like playing out, the midfield seems to be quite non-existent. The fact Slater stayed on the pitch for an hour yesterday was, well, criminal, to be honest, because he was not in the game at all. I've liked the look as Xavier Simons in pre-season, but he wasn't in the game yesterday either. The midfield just got overrun, and that's why I think we're looking at is it Jonas Meffer from Jonas Meffer from Hamburg. Worked with Walter at Hamburg. Worked with Walter at worked with Walter at Holsten Kiel as well. So he's followed him from Holsten Kiel to Hamburg, and now he wants to follow him to us. Reports say we're looking to pay about $500,000 for him. Hamburg value him closer to $1 million. And I think there were another couple we've been linked with. Been linked with Lewis Travis from Blackburn this morning, Gustavo Puerta from Bayer Leverkusen as well, a young lad. That'd be a loan with an option to buy. But I think we need someone of Meffer's sort of caliber. When you look at it, sort of like he's 29 years old, so experience. He knows Walter's way of playing inside out, and he could be that protection that the back four need. Just, someone that can play the ball right out and then run the extra 30, 40 yards straight away to be with play and be the extra man that they need if they need to regress slightly.
He wouldn't need to adapt, would he? He knows exactly what Walter would want out of him, and I think the way that Seri didn't come on after playing so well in the League Cup, I think implies that he will be leaving. And if we were to swap Seri for Meffer, we'd miss Seri. But if Walter doesn't see him fit the system, Meffer definitely would. I think I'd take that swap deal. And plus, he's a few years younger, so we'd have him for a little while longer as well. And his wages, I'm sure, would probably help with the FA Cup.
Wouldn't they?
Sure, Seri's would be much better, exactly. Precisely. So wouldn't be too disheartened with that. Yeah,
a little profile on Puerta as well, because we were saying off air, weren't we, that he strikes me as more, I was saying he strikes me as more sort of like an attack-minded player.
As a Colombian, you'd imagine so, wouldn't you? Yeah. Somehow.
But he's a defensive. He's a number 6 or a number 8. Once I've got my words out, he played 3 times for Colombia under 19s. He's got 30 caps and 5 goals for Colombia under 20s. I think he's been called up to the Colombia national team, but just hasn't been capped yet. Before he moved to Bayer Leverkusen, he played 32 times for Bogota, and he's played 10 times for Bayer Leverkusen to date, 3 in the Europa League, 7 in the Bundesliga. Yet to score or assist, but it's he played a part in that invincible season.
Well, exactly. He's a historic, part of that historic squad for them. So yeah, I think even if he's not played many games, that seems like another exciting deal. We'd be equally excited about getting someone of a similar caliber from a Premier League club, and they're a top German team. So, of course, Walter might have noticed him whilst being in Germany himself. Maybe wanted him on loan for his own Hamburg team last year. Perhaps didn't get him. So, yeah, I think
interestingly,
good links.
Interestingly, Puerta had a loan at Nuremberg
and didn't play.
Not last season, but season before, and didn't play a minute. Very, very interesting. But no, I think, I also said off air, I think he's our insurance plan for if Zambrano gets banned.
Yeah.
And I think we might be overloaded in central midfield a little bit with Burns, who can play in there, and Slater, Simons. I suggested that bringing in Mefe, Zambrano, and Puerta could mean Simons being eyed up for another loan move higher up League One this time.
Certainly, I think.
And we saw a comment about Slater there as well, and he's not started this season well. He didn't have a particularly impressive pre-season, but no one did really. Only sort of Longman and Simons walked out of pre-season with any sort of credibility.
And Longman didn't even walk out of pre-season; he limped off. So, not the best there. Big Bruce says Sheffield Wednesday is also linked with Puerta. I mean, the reports out there, I mean, you never really know how realistic reporters, even reports from Barry Cooper himself at the Hull Daily Mail saying that we've agreed terms and that Thomas Asante is going to be at a match. You can't even believe that, even though that was true because we then didn't sign him. So
Thomas Asante was never at the ground either.
No, I think they said he was going to be. I think that was the idea, that he was going to go to the match, but of course he didn't. Yeah. But I think the reports are that we've agreed a deal, or we are leading the race. But leading the race is, of course, it's just a sort of journalistic term. I don't know whether that really ever means anything.
So Pete O'Rourke, who broke the story about Puerta, said Rangers, Brøndby, Red Star Belgrade, PAOK and Anderlecht have all shown interest in Puerta, but Hull are hoping to win the race for the Colombian. And when you Google Puerta, there's the Rangers link, and there's also the Sheffield Wednesday. Well, his name comes up for Sheffield Wednesday as well.
Yeah, I think that anytime you see a rumour where multiple clubs are linked with a player, especially in England, it means they're not actually, it's not a valid link. I think transfers are so specific, it's unlikely that lots of teams are after the same player at the same time to fit all their different systems and budgets and the styles of play that player and the sort of club and wages that they would be offered are all matching. I don't know. Plus,
I'd like to pose.
Each team probably has a list of 10, 15, 20, 30 players for each position. So really, they're all valid links, but they're never ever going to sign them. They're just on the list. Sorry, go on.
The question I'd like to pose is, what do you think we need between now and the end of the window on the 30th? Ajun said at the Q&A he wanted, so this was after we'd signed Malem, Drama and Giles only.
Mm-hmm.
He said he wanted a goalkeeper, 2 centre-backs, 2 number 6s, 3 wingers, and 2 strikers, I think. So not the goalkeeper, off Choppy. Centre-backs were Burns and Hughes.
Yeah.
1 number 6 was Zambrano.
Mm-hmm.
The second number 6 is probably one of Mefe, Puerta. I'd maybe stick James McConnell in there because we were linked with him earlier in the window, and I think that will come back up on loan from Liverpool.
Travis is his number 6 as well, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, Lewis Travis. We've neglected that one totally, haven't we?
Yeah.
Then, so that's the number 6. Miller is one of the wingers, and Bairstow is one of the strikers. That leaves us with 4 more. Do you think that's enough? A number 6, 2 wingers, and another striker?
Well, I think despite what we've seen, you assume that Richop is probably actually quite good on the ball. And we've got 2 goalkeepers. They're both young. They were both signed for money recently. They're not free transfers from League One clubs. And then with the defence, we've got 2 players in every position now. So the back 5's sorted. Maybe we don't know exactly which combination of players it's going to be, but we've got enough players there.
Got them.
I think number 10, to be honest, I don't know whether Merlim's a number 10, and Amur, he could play in the middle, but with the wingers we don't have, I expect Amur to be playing on the wing, so maybe we could do with a number 10 actually, but we clearly need a striker who is either better than Oscar or at least offers more off the ball than Oscar, because I don't know whether we have as much creativity without Carvalho and Philogene, these sort of people. So we definitely need a striker who's, quicker than Oscar and better on the ball like Delap was. But yeah, I think wingers may be the key thing. Probably still another player in every position, bar the defence. Number 6, number 10, winger, striker.
It's the other two wingers that intrigues me, really, because we're investing in the middle of the park and we're stacked there. So that would suggest that Abdush is still going to stay wide, and then him and Miller.
Yeah.
But then another two wingers with Longman to come back from injury. And
Cynic allegedly.
Allegedly
But he won't.
Supposed to be, probably might not, could do, but could get injured again. Still in training on the grass on his own, so could come back, but equally might not come back because it's Dokan Cynic. That Dokan Cynic.
Well, it's 4 to 5 weeks before he's going to be back training. And it's probably 2 weeks or 3 weeks after that when he's actually going to play.
He's back on the grass now, doing his own little bits, but it's just 4 or 5 weeks until they're going to risk putting him in with a group and actually playing proper football.
So that's him out till January. And then he'll be on loan to Turkey again.
And then his contract runs out.
Yeah. Do we not have an option on him?
No, we've got an option on him. But, I mean, do I really see us taking that option? I do.
On FIFA, you'd take that option so you could sell him. But no one in their right mind is going to spend money for him. I think he probably needs to go to a very low down Super League team in Turkey and play there, because I think we signed him when he was 23. He'll be 26, and he's sort of young, exciting days behind him. It's just not going to happen for him, is it?
It's not. But I really can see us taking the option on him, because Adjan just wants it to work so badly. He will take that option.
He does. And
he said he won't get involved in playing matters, but he will when it comes to overruling the manager to keep Dokan Cynic at the club.
It's not playing matters, is it, though? That's a more financial thing about a contract.
It's medical matters. He's not going to play at all.
Yeah. He played one game last season, didn't he?
Say that again.
Played one game last season.
He came off the bench at Ipswich, didn't he?
He had a shot from the halfway line. That was great. We were 3-0 down. He looked pretty good, and then immediately got injured. Just
climbing out of bed.
Oscar will fart in training as Cynic is running behind him and injure him, says Neil Tiger. That's a great comment.
Well, I said when the plane landed, coming back from Turkey, I said it was a bit of a bumpy landing. It wasn't smooth at all. I said that's just injured Dokan Cynic again. But genuinely, shall we place bets on which Super League club he ends up at on loan in January?
So we signed him from Antalyaspor. We loaned him to Antalyaspor. The last season it was it Hatayspor? It was
Hatayspor, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you pronounce it, but I'm gonna go with Pendikspor this season.
Oh God, they're not even in the Turkish Super League. They got relegated last year.
And
that I was just going to say that's quite a damning indictment. That
to be fair, fair enough. He'll go to a Super League team, won't he? Because it's not that bad, and the quality of the lower teams in the Super League are not that good. Let's see.
I think he'll end up at either
Salmonspor. They play in red and white as well. Salmonspor.
I think he'll end up at either Eyüpspor,
yes,
managed by Arda Turan, or at Konyaspor. I think they're the two.
Yeah, they're not bad. I mean, I think the way that all of the bad teams in Super League all have sport at the end of their name, they just all sort of merge into one in my mind. Because it's Beşiktaş, I don't know how you Beşiktaş,
Beşiktaş.
Galatasaray, Fenerbahçe, Istanbul, Başakşehir.
Başakşehir. They got relegated as well.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
They did.
Well, how come they just beat Alanyaspor 4-2 today in the Super League? Pelkas didn't score. I think they scored the other week. No, they're second. No,
they're not. They're not even in the division.
Istanbul. That's Istanbul Başakşehir.
Oh, they've not called Istanbul on the one I'm looking at. I was looking for the I.
Yeah.
Forget it.
No.
Ignore everything. Yeah, they're.
The only team outside. I mean, there's Gaziantep, Göztepe, different teams.
Teams outside Istanbul.
And Kasımpaşa. There's only 3 teams outside of the teams in the league that are any good that don't have Spor at the end of the name. So no wonder they get confused in my mind. I mean, Chris, quite rightly, we need to move on from Cynic. Spend more time talking about Cynic than actually seeing him play. So let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
Coyle, that was a great goal and a perfect example of what Volta ball is like when it works. Great run, passed it to Miller, nice, reverse pass, and then first time shot in off the post. Where does that rank among Coyle goals? Because he only scores bangers.
Well, so Lewie Coyle scored. So he scored the one yesterday.
Yeah.
He scored running in at the back post against West Brom away last year.
Nice volley. He scored against Cardiff at home when Shotta decided to wear the blackout kit. That's his worst goal.
That was
fine. Edge of the box and just sort of simple finish in the far post, but nothing amazing.
Well, I think he's scored 4 for us.
Well, there's the debate there because his goal against Nottingham Forest from kickoff in the last game of the season, that got given to Lewis Potter even though he was nowhere near it. So I count that as his goal. But that was a cross, not his best. His best goal is still the one against Fleetwood.
Yes, it is.
The winner in the Papa John's Trophy round of 16.
I want to say round of 16. Yeah,
it must have been. That was a great game.
Let me check it and we'll find out, shall we?
2-0 down with about 10 minutes ago. I mean, clearly we don't want to talk about City actually playing championship matches under Volta, do we? Because we keep going off topic. But I think that was his second best goal behind the Fleetwood one. That was, last minute winner from a team to win a cup game.
Against his old club as well, yeah.
Yeah, always special.
He hit the miles out, 94th minute.
He can hit them.
We were 2-0 down as well before that, and we scored it with 3 goals in the last 15 minutes plus stoppage time.
Yeah. I mean, there are some players who clearly the captaincy weighs heavily on them, whereas Coyle, it improves him. He's been much better as the captain. I think he's really reliable, and I think things like that, you forget that. Or you think of him as sort of a slowish right back who is pretty solid defensively and whip a crossing, but actually shows he has a lot of technical ability that we forget.
He's got a bit going forward, hasn't he, Lewie Coyle?
He does, and Chris says the volley at West Brom was decent. It was, pretty good. And then Neil says exactly what I said. That's what Volta wants his wing backs to do, cut in, sort of not inverted, but head into midfield as well. So that was an exciting moment, but probably the only exciting attacking moment. But we need players more of the quality of Merlin Miller, I think, because Oscar, he scored another offside goal, but
he's been
offside.
He's been offside more than McGuinness was at the start of the first season back in the Championship. And that, Josh McGuinness lived offside. And it just feels like Oscar's been just lumped up there.
Yeah.
I think the thing with Oscar is you have to feed him, right? but we said this exact same thing last week. It's hard to feed him with a cross because he's up against 6'5" centre halves every week.
Yeah, he's not that tall.
He's not. He's shorter than me. But just a little bit over 6 foot, 6'1" Oscar's a little bit shorter than me, and I won't back myself in the air against someone 3 inches taller than me.
Yeah, Jones and Hughes and McLaughlin and people you wouldn't back yourself, would you? No.
And it's hard with the quality we've got around him, or lack thereof, for him to hold the ball up and actually drop it off to. I've seen that comment, Neil, so I'm going to have a look.
You're going to have a look up about Benjamin Tete if he's actually playing. Who did he sign for?
Mets, because Oscar followed him.
Oh, yeah, he did. Well, that reminds me, Oscar hasn't actually been fit and played like a really high level of football since he got injured for us in like February or March of the previous season, because he got injured pretty quickly in France, and then he's been playing in Brazil, which I don't think is the highest level of football. Probably has a bit more space and time in the box than in the Championship or physical league. So it might take him a little while to get up to fitness, but I think he's a good player. And we talked about this on Tigers Talk on our pre-recorded episode, which went live on Wednesday with AD. We were just discussing a lot about Oscar's performances, and they've not been great. Coxie says he does look like he wants to go back to Brazil. Of course, maybe he was actually happy there. Closer to home. Maybe he's had enough of being in Europe. But, I'd miss him because he's a good player, but we definitely do need someone better than him as a striker, and hopefully he stays to be that coach off the bench.
Better than him as an all-round player.
Precisely.
Let's say. As for Benjamin Tete question that Neil put in, he I'm not sure, has the Ligue 1 season actually started yet? I don't think it has.
Rosinia had his first match as Strasbourg manager today, so yes.
Okay, so it was first game today, that's why there's nothing on there. He played 12 games in the league last season. That was a total of 268 minutes. And in the Coupe de France, he played a further 84. So he's played 30. He's made 13 appearances overall for Metz so far. And did they play today? No, they kick off their season tomorrow against.
Don't look at the Strasbourg result. Have you seen the Strasbourg result, Joe?
I haven't seen the.
Don't look it up. Don't look it up. Without looking it up, as a senior side, have a wild guess of what the score was.
1-1.
Yep, 1-1. Who had more possession? Which team? Yeah, and who had more expected goals?
I can't see the expected goals stats on Google.
Not his team. A 1-1 draw with more possession and fewer expected goals. That's a senior result, so you can tell.
Fewer expected goals, but more shots. Yeah. Hey, good start for Liam, though.
Yeah, away draw. Decent. I don't really know what constitutes success for him there. Just not get relegated, I guess.
Assume be solid, and if he pushes up the league, he'll get the Chelsea job at some point.
Or Bayern Munich. That too.
He'll be at Leverkusen next.
Crazy. Here's a question. I'll give you a chance to elaborate, but you have to say yes or no to begin with. Coxie asks, would you keep Oscar? Yes or no, Joe?
Yes.
I'd keep him, yes. Second choice. And if he plays well, first choice, but maybe not to start.
Yeah, I agree on that. If we get a striker in who is better as an all-round player, like we've just been discussing, then yeah, Oscar can sit on the bench as second choice. Adjan's comment about saying if Oscar leaves, I'll sign 3 strikers. That's still confusing me a little bit. Why say that? I don't think Oscar's going to leave, but why? Why say that?
I think we'd have to sign 2 strikers before he leaves. because then you're going to be stretching yourself out, signing a third striker in the summer. After so many targets have gone at that point.
Oh yeah.
If he's left, so and he's guaranteed you goals. He's just not guaranteed you much else. So it would be a risk to sell him. Overall, a draw against Bristol, a draw against Plymouth. Would you have taken 2 points offered 2 weeks ago? Because I certainly would, after a very, very dodgy pre-season.
Yeah, I would have done. Definitely would have done. I think we made an appalling Plymouth side look somewhat competent.
Yeah, average, perhaps.
We made probably the worst team in this division look average, which isn't a compliment for anybody.
No. But we've got 2 points, for unbeaten, and this is probably going to be the most disjointed we're going to be under Volta, especially as some of the players we brought in, and we still had McLaughlin in defence. Jacob was gone, but McLaughlin and Panda played, I think, with Vachopi, Hughes, maybe another winger, maybe another midfielder. It'll look a little better, and they've shown spirit to come back from 1-0 down in both games. I think the Millwall game, we'll discuss that in a second. That's a big opportunity. They've lost both games. Looking for 3 points there, but there's a world where we lose to Bristol and lose to Plymouth.
Yeah,
but we've got 2 draws on the board.
Yeah, someone made the point last season we drew a lot of games we should have won. So to start the season by drawing 2 games that we could very probably have lost is a good start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the Millwall game, as I mentioned, they've started the season with a 3-2 loss and then a 4-3 loss to Bristol City. Scott Twine scored the winner after making his move to Bristol permanent. I think clearly their defence is not great, but clearly they're a threat up front. I think that result could be either way. We've won at home to Millwall the last 3 times we played them. So since we got promoted, we've won 2-1, 1-0 and 1-0. And I think Zambrano will be involved somehow, and Hughes will almost definitely start.
Yeah,
and maybe we'll have another winger in or a striker in before then as well, another week. So hopefully get some more signings in. I'm sure we'll sign at least one player.
I think we've got to be,
probably one, and then after that it's the deadline day, isn't it? So
yeah, it's the rush to deadline day before Leeds. I think we'll have one, and I think it will be Mefer or Puerta.
Yeah,
and then I think what midfield will be whichever one. I think it'll be Mefer out of the 2. I think it will be Mefer, then Zambrano, Malum, Abdush Miller, Oscar or Burstow.
Mm-hmm. Surely it'll be Oscar. You wouldn't see Burstow starting immediately, would you? I mean, it depends how he trains.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But I think Hughes will come straight in for McLaughlin, though.
And no offence to McLaughlin, but he's been awful. And thank goodness. Again, no offence. And Jacob and McLaughlin, good lads, good players, good servants. I appreciate their hard work and their grift and their talent.
And their grift?
Yeah, the hard work they do for the club.
Do you mean graft?
Do I? Well, they've been McLaughlin, the way he's been playing the last 2 games, has grifted his salary off. Actually, bless him. I don't mean to be cruel, but of course, maybe the grass isn't greener like Vachopi, like Allsop and Banda. Maybe Hughes will be worse. Who knows?
And Epioi.
Oh dear me! But well, we've not mentioned that. I don't know the answer to this question, but we've seen rumours that there was a £3.5 million release clause for Hughes, and that we've also seen rumours that Wigan wanted £7 million and that we were happy to offer that. So I don't know how much we've spent on him. Dare I say it's probably between 3.5 and 7 million.
7 million. Who could have possibly guessed?
I think 5 million. In any sense, if that's 1 million up front, 4 million later, if that's 4 million now, 1 million on an add-on if we get promoted, however they run it. I think 5 million for a young player, as we had with Philogene, not terribly unreasonable in today's market, where Raksaki is apparently £15 million and he's never played a championship match in his life, and it's only started like 2 Premier League games. I mean, the market's completely ruined, but he's in the door. That's all we have to worry about. Is it time for the best part of the podcast, do you think, Joe?
Do
you reckon?
What, the score predictions?
No. It's the combined lineup. So, again, there's a visual element to this, so let me read it out for the lovely listeners.
I'm just going to say, while Nathaniel does this, it gives me a great opportunity to find out what this burning smell is.
Oh, yes, you should probably get to that, Joe, whilst I, read this out. So the goalkeeper, I've put nobody, and then I've put Roberts, who is the only player in the 2 teams of the 4 goalkeepers that have played a match so far in the Cup as well as the League to have kept a clean sheet, as he did against Portsmouth in the League Cup. So Roberts in goal, because Pando and Rachopi, neither of them deserve to be in, and Jensen, the Millwall goalkeeper, probably difficult to replace as it Biakowski last season as well, has conceded the joint most in the whole division. Giles pushed up at left wing back because he's not a good left back. Hughes, Jones and Coyle after his goal. Simons, who's been reasonable. Honeyman, who's got 2 assists so far. Liam Miller, who's been great. Esse, not Eze, Esse, who has scored 2 for Millwall already this season. And then as 2 false nines, because neither Bradshaw or Oscar have played very well so far, we've got Duncan Watmore, who scored 3 goals, including 2, I think, on the opening day against, I believe it was Watford, Millwall lost to, and Amur again. So we've got sort of a back 3 of Hughes, Jones and Kyle. Giles left wing back, Esse, a very ambitious right wing back, and 2 false nines. No aerial threat. It's actually a very short team, but this is not a bad combined 11 in the sense that these aren't the best players between the 2 teams, but this is probably the worst combined 11 in terms of if you were to choose those 11 players, they will play badly together and not do very well in the league. So a pretty bad combined 11, if accurate in my own view, of course. Joe, I don't know whether you have any thoughts on this.
I didn't find out what the burning smell was.
Oh,
I think
good.
I think it's from outside. So
it's not your house.
No, it's not my house, which is
or your family. So, yeah.
No, I think it's outside. As for that, yeah, 2 pretty dreadful defences you had to pick from there.
Yes, precisely. I mean, we've only conceded 2, but we've not been convincing, have we? We could have conceded more. Expected, and what would this be? G, A, F, G, T, B, A. Expected goals given away from giving the ball away. I don't know whether I got that acronym correct. But
expected goals against from giving the ball away.
Well, if it's expected heart attacks as well from Volta's system, heart attack football is what he calls it.
It is Vartabal, heart attack football.
Yeah, XHA. Well, what is your prediction then? Because I think I don't know how to predict this. I don't really see us winning the way we're playing, but also Millwall have been pretty dodgy at the back.
Millwall winning either. It's an awkward one. It's really, really awkward. I'd just like to say, have you seen the prediction videos on TikTok recently with regard Hull City games?
No.
It's just like Chef Wednesday. It was like Dino just turns up and scores 10. Or then Josh Windass gets annoyed at his dad, so subs himself on and scores 15. Cynic gets subbed on. Cynic gets subbed off.
Well, yeah, he wouldn't do anything, would he?
Who's this coming out of the tunnel? Oh my God, it's Adjan. Who's he got in his pocket? He's just whipped out King Lewis Potter. Lewis Potter scores 50 before getting on the quickest train back to London.
This is all very silly, I'd say.
It is very silly.
And that's coming from me.
So is Alfie Jones and Jacob Greaves getting ran up on by Gylfi Sigurdsson and Mason Greenwood in St Stephen's.
My word.
So whoever's behind these accounts, please temper yourselves. Back to reality for a second. See, I can't see us scoring more than one.
No, well, I
can't see Millwall conceding
less than 2.
Less than 2. So it's strange.
Shall we? I'm going to go 2-1. 2-1. We're going to have Oscar's going to score 1. Off his knee
from open play.
Sort of the second ball from a set piece.
All right.
The sort of pickings up, and maybe Amir will finally score a free kick, and then Panda will pass it straight to Macaulay Langstaff, who Neil Tiger was asking about, who hasn't been playing for Millwall. So be late in the game, Panda will pass it straight to Macaulay Langstaff, who was a lad from Notts County, and it'll be 2-1. And then we'll sub on Rachopi, who'll save a penalty in the last minute from Honeyman, and we'll all be very happy and win 2-1. I don't really see that happening. Is that wild enough for your TikTok, Joe?
It's not quite. Liam Rosenior comes back with Jacob Greaves and Jaden Philogene, and they both score 50 each. And Hull City versus Sheffield Wednesday ends at 134 to 131.
Yeah, I doubt that will happen. Speaking of Philogene coming back, for the first match of the season, I don't know whether I mentioned this after the Bristol match, but my FOTMob app, the sort of football score app I use called FOTMob, I've used it for a long time. I highly recommend it. Although, of course, other football score apps are available. They actually had a lineup from last season for Hull City. So Carvalho, Delap, Philogene, Morton had all come back for us, and they were playing They were playing against Scott Twine, who hadn't even signed for Bristol at that point. So I don't know what happened there, but that was fun. That was a nice 5 seconds when I thought if we signed Carvalho again.
Yeah, the team's a shadow of what it was last year, isn't it? And well, anyway, my predicted score 3-2 to us.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't see it like in any normal game. I can't see us scoring 3 ever at the minute, but I can certainly see Millwall conceding 3.
Yeah, perhaps. Maybe it'll be 3 own goals. Maybe that'll be the way we get around it. But I think a win, 5 points after 3 games, I'd be very happy with that. Even a draw, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I'd be a little concerned going into Leeds and Sheffield United after that, because they're both good teams. But
they're both gonna tear us apart.
Yeah, Sheffield United haven't been too great. They drew to QPR, but Leeds probably would. Of course, they haven't won a game either, so maybe it'll be the chance to get first win of the season against them, and same for them against us in a few weeks. Coxie says, how many shots on target from us? I'm going to go 4, but that's might actually be optimistic. Pretty optimistic. 3 shots on target.
Oh dear. Final thing from me, I'm going to say the under-21s kick off at 3:30 at the MKM Stadium on Tuesday. So if you want to watch, the 21s will be decent this year. So I can say that with a lot of confidence. So if you want to go watch some decent football, I know there's the open training session before. So if you go into that, you can stay afterwards and sit in the West Stand and have your street food, because they have some of that on and what have you. So yeah, stay.
Yeah.
Stay and watch the under 21s, or if you're not going to the open training session, come and watch the 21s. They'll let you in. It's free. Make a day of it.
Yeah. Well said, Joe.
Watch us train and fail to put the ball in the net before watching maybe some players that can.
Yeah, epic. Well, Joe, thanks for joining me. Thanks for everyone who's commented in. We've had a busy comment section today, and we'll be back next week after hopefully a few more signings to complete Volta's squad, and maybe the first win of the season and first win since April in all competitions, all managers, all league seasons, and pre-season games as well. Since April, we haven't won since April, so a bit dodgy. At least we've had a 3-month period off in the middle, so it doesn't seem as bad. But yeah, thanks for everyone who's watched, and we'll see you again next week.